Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com. Promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in on this Friday as we wrap up another week and some late night posts to Truth Social last night. President Trump has ended the week the way it began, with more fiery debate about the Jeffrey Epstein files. We have the latest in this continually changing story. Also, former Vice President Mike Pence has called for the Trump administration to release all of the Epstein files. We have the story on the vice president as well. White House released a Trump health update after speculation about the president's swollen legs and bruised hands. We have that full report as well. For purely financial reasons, according to CBS, they will cancel The Late Show with Stephen Colbert after the next TV season, in a statement released yesterday. And after years of legal fighting, the John C. Calhoun statue is being released from custody by the city of Charleston, who took it down several years ago, with the agreement that it cannot be displayed in the city limits of Charleston. Thanks for spending some of your time with me today. Let's jump right in.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
So breaking news last night, President Trump said that he has directed Attorney General Pam Bondi to release any and all relevant grand jury testimony in the case of deceased sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It's been headlines all week. It's been the subject of discussion all week. The move is aimed at, I would imagine, trying to stop some of the rebellion among MAGA supporters, demanding the release of more information in the case. So here's what happened. A round of Truth Social posts last night, starting at around 8:33 p.m., when the president posted this, and I'm going to read the post. The Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch personally were warned directly by President Donald J. Trump that the supposed letter they printed by President Trump to Epstein was a fake, all capital letters, and if they print it, they will be sued. Mr. Murdoch stated he would take care of it, but obviously did not have the power to do so. The editor of the Wall Street Journal, Emma Tucker, was told directly by Caroline Leavitt and by President Trump that the letter was a fake, again, all caps. But Emma Tucker didn't want to hear that. Instead, they're going with a false, malicious, and defamatory story anyway. President Trump will be suing the Wall Street Journal, News Corp, and Mr. Murdoch very shortly. The press has to learn to be truthful and not rely on sources that probably don't even exist. President Trump has already beaten George Stephanopoulos, ABC, 60 Minutes, CBS, and others, and looks forward to suing and holding accountable the once great Wall Street Journal. It has truly turned out to be a disgusting and filthy rag, and writing defamatory lies like this shows their desperation to remain relevant. If there were any truth at all on the Epstein hoax as it pertains to President Trump, this information would have been revealed by Comey, Brennan, Crooked Hillary, and other radical left lunatics years ago. It certainly would not have sat in a file waiting for Trump to have won 3 elections. This is yet another example of fake news. That was the post on Truth Social last night. Then Mr. Trump wrote again on Truth Social, based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. this scam perpetuated by the Democrats should end right now. And then in response, just a few minutes later on X, Ms. Bondi said that the Justice Department was ready to ask a federal court today, Friday, to unseal the grand jury transcripts. And then one final post. The president wrote, the Wall Street Journal printed a fake letter, fake, all caps again, supposedly to Epstein. These are not my words, not the way I talk. Also, I don't draw pictures. I told Rupert Murdoch it was a scam, that he shouldn't print this fake story, but he did, and now I'm going to sue his you-know-what off, and that of his third-rate newspaper. Thank you for your attention to this matter, DJT. So here's the story. A collection of letters gifted to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday back in 2003 included a note bearing Donald Trump's name and an outline of a naked woman. This according to the Wall Street Journal that published this yesterday. The drawing depicted a naked woman and a Donald signature in the place, well, in a private place. I'll just leave it at that. I can't give some of the detailed descriptions that are in this. There were several typewritten text lines, several sentences, according to the newspaper, which they said they reviewed the letter. It concluded with the line, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Trump, in an interview with the Journal on Tuesday, denied that he wrote the letter or drew the picture and threatened to sue the newspaper if it published the story, which it ultimately did. President Trump, according to the Journal, said, "I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women. It's not my language. It's not my words." So in response to the story, that's when President Trump posted on True Social the post that I just read to you, and then ordered Attorney General Pam Bondi to release the files. This has been on again, off again, on again, off again. Earlier in the evening, President Trump vowed again to sue the Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch, and a number of people, saying that he and the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt had warned them about publishing the story. Vice President J.D. Vance also weighed in on social media, calling the story complete and utter BS. I cleaned it up. This was in a post on X. As a result, last night, some of the most vocal voices on the right who've been pushing for more transparency from the administration came to President Trump's defense and cast doubt on the Journal story. Laura Loomer, for example, who's called for the administration to appoint a special counsel to look into the handling of the Epstein files, called the letter totally fake. She wrote on X, "Everyone who actually knows President Trump knows he doesn't type letters. He writes notes in big black Sharpie." And that's true. I've seen some of them. Charlie Kirk, my colleague, posted on X, "This is not how Trump talks at all. I don't believe it." His post referred to the typewritten note in the letter that envisions a conversation between Trump and Epstein about there being more to life than having everything. In a memo last week, the Justice Department said that Epstein did indeed die by suicide and that there was no Epstein client list. And this started this whole fiery debate that we have been in for over a week now, of whether or not there really is a client list. What's really in those Epstein files? Who's hiding it? It's had Attorney General Pam Bondi. It's had a lot of Trump loyalists really at one another's throats, really questioning who's really telling the truth here. As you know, earlier this week, President Trump was angry. He dismissed the backlash, accused his supporters of falling for a hoax by fixating on the case. He urged Republicans to drop the issue altogether. It's not going away. You and I talked about it earlier this week. Trump posted on True Social on Wednesday, "Their new scam is what we'll hear forever," calling it the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And my past supporters have bought into this BS hook, line, and sinker. That didn't go over too well. A lot of Trump supporters pushed back. So, facing growing calls by his supporters, and look, some members of Congress as well, President Trump issuing a directive to the Attorney General to release the credible files. So we'll see. Here's a question for you, though. Let's assume that those files are going to be released pretty soon, maybe even over the weekend or at least early next week. What if there really isn't a client list in there? What if there's nothing in there that we don't already know? Is it going to be credible? Are we going to believe it? Do you think that the Trump loyal, the America First Trump supporters at this point, the way this has been handled, will ever believe anything? I mean, the next conspiracy theory will probably be, well, who took the good stuff out before releasing the files? Will we ever completely trust that we know exactly what was in that file? That's my question to you. Text me, email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Joey Hudson here. America is facing a health crisis, and the answer isn't more meds. I lost over 30 pounds on the PhD weight loss plan without Ozempic or any weight loss shots. Don't settle for a lifetime of medication. GLP-1 injections like Ozempic help some people lose weight, but they come with side effects, high cost, and most gain it back when they stop. At PhD Weight Loss, we reveal Big Pharma's big secret. Your body already makes GLP-1, the appetite-fighting hormone. Our program helps your body make it naturally so you'll drop the pounds faster. With the PhD method, no side effects, no long-term risk, no rebound weight gain, just natural, lasting results, all without hunger or cravings. Right now, get a free body scan and personalized metabolic assessment. Discover your body's true potential without a shot. It's free and gives you the keys to your personalized plan. Do like I did and don't trade your health for a quick fix. Call now at 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900 or visit myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com. Before we move on from the Jeffrey Epstein story, one final thing. Also calling for the release of the files yesterday was former Vice President Mike Pence, who made headlines by saying it's time to put everything out in the open. He was speaking with CBS News correspondent Major Garrett when he said this.
He said the Jeffrey Epstein matter is a hoax. Last week, his Justice Department said there were more than 1,000 victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Last summer, Trump said he was open to declassifying all the relevant files and the Epstein client list, and that his suicide looked suspicious. How can all those things be true and it be a hoax? I don't understand where things stand with all this.
I think the time has come for the administration to release all of the files regarding Jeffrey Epstein's investigation and prosecution. It's important that we protect the names of the victims. They should be excluded from any disclosure. But whether or not the facts justify charges, I think that anyone who participated or was associated with this despicable man ought to be held up to public scrutiny.
One of the most aggressive investigative reporters in our country, Julie K. Brown, was on my show last night, and she said when the Justice Department last week said 1,000 victims, she said that was a higher number than she was familiar with and indicated to her that there have to be accomplices that some of the victims have named that worked with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And she said, shouldn't there be some inquiry into whether or not those people should be exposed to criminal prosecution? Well, do you agree with that?
I just think we ought to get the facts to the American people. I mean, I've always believed in transparency.
And when the president says it's all a hoax, what is he talking about?
Well, Jeffrey Epstein's prosecution began during the Bush administration. Continued.
He's blaming it on Democrats.
The Obama years.
It's not a hoax.
I know of no reason why this administration, once the victims' names are protected, should not release all the files on Jeffrey Epstein.
And he's right. The victims' identities need to be somehow protected. You know, even for some of the biggest supporters of President Trump, that's been one of their concerns. Yes, we want to get to the bottom of this. We want to get to the truth. But at the same time, some of those victims who this just almost destroyed their lives, it changed their lives forever, should not have to be put through what they went through again. This isn't about dragging survivors into the spotlight. This is about exposing the people who enabled Jeffrey Epstein's criminal empire and potentially abused their power. The Trump administration, of course, has been bombarded this week with calls to release the Epstein list. That phrase alone has become a kind of rallying cry among Americans fed up with the double standards. One set of rules for them, another set of rules for the elite, the rich, the powerful. President Trump, unlike his predecessors, has never had anything to hide when it comes to Epstein. In fact, he famously banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago years before Epstein was even arrested. That's not speculation. It's documented. Epstein crossed the line and Trump made it clear, you're out. I don't want you here. Compare that to former President Bill Clinton, who we know flew on Epstein's plane multiple times, or to the high-ranking Obama and Biden officials who spent years downplaying the whole thing. Trump didn't just walk away from Epstein. He made sure Epstein couldn't come back. So let's hope that this whole matter is going to be put to bed pretty soon, that we're going to know the truth and we can move on, because we have other important issues we need to be talking about. Yesterday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt revealed additional details about President Donald Trump's health after photos showed some bruising on the back of his hands and apparently swollen legs. Leavitt read a memo explaining that the swollen legs were part of a benign and common condition for individuals older than age 70, while the bruising on his hands was attributed to frequent hand shaping and the use of aspirin. Here's the press secretary during her daily briefing yesterday.
On another note, I know that many in the media have been speculating about bruising on the president's hand and also swelling in the president's legs. So in the effort of transparency, the president wanted me to share a note from his physician with all of you today. In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of an abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House medical unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Laboratory testing included a complete blood count, comprehensive metabolic panel, coagulation profile, D-dimer, B-type natriuretic peptide, and cardiac biomarkers. All results were within normal limits. An echocardiogram was also performed and confirmed normal cardiac structure and function. No signs of heart failure, renal impairment, or systemic illness were identified. Additionally, recent photos of the president have shown minor bruising on the back of his hand. This is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular prevention regimen. This is a well-known and benign side effect of aspirin therapy. And the president remains in excellent health, which I think all of you witness on a daily basis here. So the president wanted me to share that note with all of you. I'm happy to take further questions on it. We will provide the memorandum from the president's physician to all of you, as we always do.
So there you have it. This all started with photos of the president's swollen legs that were circulated a few weeks ago when he attended the soccer, the World Cup final at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. He was accompanied by First Lady Melania Trump. It prompted some headlines on social media speculation that the president was concealing a health issue. There had been concern that was spreading after these photos of President Trump's hands showed bruising when he met with some heads of state. I think it was the prime minister of Bahrain or somewhere. I don't know. But this was just a couple of days ago. Ms. Leavitt explained that the bruising on the back of President Trump's hand was due to his aspirin intake and because he frequently shakes hands with other people. And you know how that can be. You know, you shake hands with somebody who has a firm handshake, and it can leave your hand kind of sore. And if you think about how many hands President Trump shakes every day, think about that. The White House circulated a full release from his doctors showing that he's in good health. Blood pressure of 128/74, pulse of 99% on room air, and temperature of 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, all very normal. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Okay, chalk this next story up to just pure stupidity. If you're having an affair, which you shouldn't be to begin with, but if you are having an affair, you don't want to go to a public concert where you might just show up on the Jumbotron. Wow. The New York Post led with the story of Kristen Cabot, who is the chief people officer at Astronomer, being caught canoodling with her married boss. She's married too, by the way, on the Jumbotron at Coldplay's show Wednesday night. I guess this was in New York City. She had bragged that she wins, quote, trust with employees at all levels like CEOs. Well, sounds like she's gotten the trust of this CEO. Ms. Cabot was just appointed to a position back in November, and she and CEO Andy Byron, again, both of them married, were quick to gush over one another. This in some public posts, like on LinkedIn. She wrote on her LinkedIn page, "I lead by example and win trust with employees of all levels, from CEOs to managers to assistants." She went on to talk about her exceptional leadership and deep expertise in talent management. She said, "I've been energized in my conversations with Andy Byron and the Astronomer leadership team about the opportunities that exist here, including aiding our employees' career development." So evidently she's been very energized by the CEO, Andy Byron. Now, Mr. Byron was also quick to gush over his newest hire, citing Ms. Cabot as having exceptional leadership and deep expertise in talent management. He went on to write, "She is a proven leader at multiple growth stage companies, and her passion for fostering diverse, collaborative workplaces makes her a perfect fit for Astronomer," their company. Fast forward, this past Wednesday night, the two were mistakenly caught on a impromptu kiss cam during a Coldplay concert. Actually, this was in Massachusetts. I think I may have said earlier in New York. This was in Massachusetts. The surprised and somewhat frazzled CEO quickly tried to duck away and out of the frame. Ms. Cabot, looking mortified, turned away also from the crowd of about 55,000 concert goers, burying her face in her hands. Again, very surprised that they showed up on the Jumbotron. Now, that's bad enough. The Coldplay lead singer, Chris Martin, cracked a joke to the crowd as the camera quickly panned away to another group, saying, "Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're very shy." They were having an affair. Again, both married, and they weren't there with their spouse. This is what you get when you behave badly like that. Speaking of behaving badly, CBS announced that it's planning to cancel The Late Show with Stephen Colbert after the next TV season. This was released yesterday in a statement. The network claimed that it was purely a financial decision, meaning ratings were down. Nobody wants to watch Mr. Colbert. Ad revenue must be down, so they're going to cancel him. In a statement, they said, "We consider Stephen Colbert irreplaceable and we retire the Late Show franchise in May of 2026. We are proud that Stephen called CBS home. He and the broadcast will be remembered in the pantheon of greats that grace late-night television." The announcement went on to say, "This is purely a financial decision against a challenging backdrop in late night. It is not related in any way to the show's performance, content, or other matters happening at Paramount." If a show's doing good, if it's making money, if revenue's coming in, you don't cancel the show. So this idea that, this is for purely financial reasons, not about the show's performance, it's all about the show's performance. If they're saying it's purely financial, that means the show's not making any money anymore. That means advertisers are finally woken up, and they don't want to be associated with this guy. Colbert addressed the situation during the taping of that night's show, he does a show at the Ed Sullivan Theater, which is the historic theater in New York, sharing that he had learned the news Wednesday evening. He talked about it in Thursday's show, saying, "Yeah, I share your feelings," as the audience booed Colbert, letting them know he disagrees with it, of course. He continued to explain, "I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away." Well, I don't know which is worse. The whole show just going away or being replaced. The fact is, there's not an appetite for the kind of junk that Stephen Colbert delivers. Look, they should just cut their losses, pay him off, and cancel the show. Don't wait till next spring. He went on to say, "I do want to say that the folks at CBS have been great partners. I'm so grateful to the Tiffany Network for giving me this chair and this beautiful theater to call home. And, of course, I'm grateful to you, the audience, who have joined us. And I'm extraordinarily, deeply grateful to the 200 people who work here." And, look, that's the only people that I care about. I'm sorry that those 200-plus workers are losing their job. Stephen Colbert, they should have canceled him long ago. CBS decision marks the end of this network's historic late-night programming. It started with David Letterman back when Letterman left NBC in 1993, according to the New York Post. The Colbert took over the show when Letterman left in 2015. Supposedly, he's had some consistent ratings in competing with some of the other network heads, but just not doing it now, I guess. He has hosted nearly 1,700 episodes over the span of almost 10 seasons. His first show aired on September 8, 2015. Of course, before The Late Show, Colbert started on The Daily Show and The Colbert Report. He also has a history with Charleston, South Carolina. He has a home there. He's often seen in and around Charleston. And look, I don't like anybody to lose their job. I just have no patience for people like Stephen Colbert. I never watched him. I got to where even in researching stories, or if I would read where he had said something, it's kind of like The View. You just avoid them. But you do have to kind of listen from time to time to know what he's saying. This is just another blow to CBS. They recently settled their lawsuit with President Trump in order to keep the peace and save the they're trying to do this Skydance Paramount merger. It's a huge merger. They had to settle that lawsuit. Don't you know that just really, really bothered them to have to settle with Donald Trump rather than fight it out? The network has already canceled After Midnight with comedian Taylor Tomlinson, which replaced the Late Show with James Corden after just 2 seasons. Look, what are they going to do late night? Just maybe do reruns of something? Their competing networks, ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live, is set to film its final season of a 3-year deal in the fall, and NBC's Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers, they've signed deals that last year to continue their shows through 2028. So I guess they're safe for now. Anybody going to miss Colbert? I don't think so. There's been some crazy stories this week. It's been a busy, busy week. The one, though, that got my attention is the story of a 10-year-old Cub Scout who is recovering after being struck by a powerful bolt of lightning during a tragic incident in New Jersey. It was at a New Jersey archery range. It happened Wednesday. Sadly, it left 1 adult dead and 14 others injured. But Ryan Coopy is the one gathering the headlines. He's a member of Jackson Cub Scout Pack 204. He was participating in an archery lesson at Black Knight Bowbenders in Jackson when lightning struck a tree near the shooting range. This was early evening. According to the Jackson Police Department, 11 boys and 2 girls were attending the event. The lightning strike was so powerful that it knocked Ryan out of his socks and shoes, tearing them to shreds. He sustained second-degree burns on his heels and is still in shock, according to his dad. But hey, he's going to be okay. That's an answer to prayer for sure. Wow. Can you imagine that? Being struck, hit so hard that it literally knocks you out of your socks and your shoes, and you survive? Boy, God was looking out for him. According to his parents, despite the traumatic experience, Ryan remains committed to becoming an Eagle Scout and will be back out on the archery range very soon. God bless this young man, and good for him. Good for him not letting this discourage him or scare him away. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. So after years of legal wrangling, a huge piece of history, Charleston's history, is finally on the move again. Story from the Post and Courier. The 12-foot bronze statue of John C. Calhoun, the controversial South Carolina political figure, slavery advocate, is soon going to be handed over to his descendants. But if you're thinking it's headed back to Marion Square, where it was stood for over a century, think again. Charleston is not having it. As part of a legal settlement that was finalized this week, the city of Charleston will transfer ownership of this. It's a massive 6,000-pound statue. They're going to turn over ownership to Calhoun's descendants and their allies. There is a catch, though. The agreement strictly forbids the statue from being displayed anywhere within the city limits of Charleston, publicly or privately. In other words, he's being booted from the city limits permanently. That detail is key. It reflects the compromise reached, according to insiders, after 2 years of lawsuits, community pressure, political deadlock following the statue's removal in 2020 during the nationwide protest that was sparked by the killing of George Floyd. Remember that? Remember how people were just going nuts all around the country? Cities, local governments were taking down these historic statutes, and Charleston was one of them. Charleston rushed to take this down. It wasn't even on public property, by the way. Marion Square is owned by a private group. We'll get that in just a minute. Charleston City Council voted unanimously to take the monument down at the time, calling it a symbol of oppression. In response, members of the Calhoun family and a historic militia group that owns the land under Marion Square sued the city in 2022. Now, their aim was to block the city from loaning the statue to a traveling art exhibit that there'd been rumors that the city was about to do that somewhere in Las Vegas or somewhere. Longer term, they wanted to reclaim the monument with hopes of one day restoring it to public view somewhere. Now, after some of these backroom negotiations, legal maneuvering, thousands and thousands of dollars being spent on attorneys, looks like they're going to get their statue back. Along with the Calhoun statue itself, the group will also receive several other items from the original monument. For example, 4 bronze plaques, 4 bronze palmetto trees that once framed the statue's base, remnants of the granite foundation that held it in place. You remember the images that we saw when they took this down, they literally had a tractor out there with a crane that they just pushed this thing over and put it on a flatbed and hauled it off. They weren't concerned about damaging it because I imagine they never thought that it would be displayed again. They also found a time capsule that was beneath the monument when it was dismantled. It's a full transfer of what was once the centerpiece of Charleston's civic landscape as described by the Post and Courier. I mean, if you went to Charleston, you went by Marion Square, you saw this huge statue of John C. Calhoun, like a lot of other historic statues in the Charleston area. Now, the city's agreed to give the group up to a year to find a permanent home and to raise the funds to cover the cost of relocation. It's not an easy task. Storage costs during that period are still being sorted out, but, it's been costing the city of Charleston a lot of money just to store it. Now, the big question is this. Where will the statue of one of South Carolina's most polarizing historical figures go? Where's this new home? Does it move across the river to Mount Pleasant? Does it move up the road a bit to Calhoun County? Maybe even Abbeville, where Calhoun was born. Now, technically, I guess all of these are possibilities. But according to the Post and Courier, so far, no town, museum, or institution has stepped up to publicly claim the monument, leading them to write that silence may speak volumes. While some see the statue as part of South Carolina's cultural and historic fabric, others view it as a painful reminder of a past that doesn't deserve glorification. Dale Thieling is chairman of the board of field officers of the 4th Brigade and one of the lawsuit's plaintiffs. He struck a very defiant tone in a statement after the city council vote, saying this is a crucial moment in the continuing dynamic chronicle of preservation and respect for Charleston's place in history. Calhoun's controversial importance will now be properly presented. But what properly presented actually looks like, I guess we'll see. As for state lawmakers, most are saying that the state doesn't have a role in this. Senate Majority Leader Danny Verdon, who was quoted in the American Heritage Association's press release following the settlement, said he's not involved in any plans for the statue's future and doesn't believe the state should be. In a statement, the senator said, I haven't heard of the state having any interest or any entity of the state having interest in acquiring it. I don't know what their intentions are. Democrat House Minority Leader Todd Rutherford from Columbia was a little more blunt. He said there's no good reason for the state to spend money on a statue that was taken out of a park in Charleston. Rutherford said that if the legislature wants a Calhoun statue, they can vote to build one. As for this one, let the family figure it out, he said. Representative Bill Taylor agreed that it's ultimately a private matter, saying that the Calhoun Family Trust should be responsible for deciding where the monument ends up. Taylor said, I think they'll do the right thing, saying that it will likely stay somewhere near Charleston, but he said he also left the door open for other options. If it doesn't, I'll wager to say we'll find a place for it. When asked whether that place could be on the State House grounds, Representative Taylor replied, I haven't given it much thought. I don't think it's going to end up on the State House grounds. Don't think it will. But I do think it will end up in a very prominent place, as it should. There's a place for John C. Calhoun. He was a prominent figure in our history, regardless of your thoughts about what went on during that history. This monument stood for over 100 years. Again, towering above Charleston's Marion Square, very historic area. For much of that time, it was unchallenged. Times changed. And in the summer of 2020, we had this national debate over race, over inequality, over historical memory. George Floyd, the shooting of George Floyd, changed everything, and the city of Charleston rushed to take it down. You remember how dramatic the removal was? Crews worked overnight, had a bandsaw and a massive crane where they just cut it up lightning cracked the sky over the square that night, for many Charlestonians, the symbolism was hard to miss. But it went away. They were there to make a statement, and a statement they made. So where's it go next? We'll see. We'll see. I can promise you it will have a very prominent place somewhere in this state. That's it for today's show. Tara's up next, followed by Mike Gallagher, Bill Frady, Charlie James. We're back on Monday for that first cup of coffee at 5 a.m. in Sunrise, Carolina. Until then, remember, folks, God's got this. He's still in control. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.